Hello, hello. I am a sheep in sheep's clothing, as you can see. This is my other sweater, which used to be a bathrobe, and I made a sweater out of it, like this. It comes up down low, and this is my self-made pants, by the way. It's very nice. It has bell bottom, which I will always make, no matter what people like or not like. I will always make bell-bottom pants. And if I had a factory, I would sell bell-bottom pants that I made myself. So I would always sell that shape, and I would like to sell bell-bottom cargos, but not exactly the bell-bottom shape from the 70s, but a type of like an 8, sort of like, the infinity sign. A bell-bottom 8, that's what I would call it. So kind of like like a sand clock, sort of. Shapely. I like that. We need to give ourselves more shape, particularly we German ladies who don't have that big shape. Yeah. I mean, I have booty, but not compared to Beyonce. It is a bit more squarish. It's a bit more, top heavy. The top heavy, chubby German lady, So, and we need bell bottom 8 shape pants. And we need sweaters that come down low to here. That is very nice to have, and they have to have ears on them. We are sheep, we're all sheep, and we should be cool with it. We should say, yes, I am a sheep. I am manipulated by the mass media. I'm manipulated by the corporations, by market psychologists like Richard Berman. We are all manipulated, and we should admit that and not go, oh no, and it's usually men that say, I'm not manipulated. No, ho, 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 ho. And I see the worst egos actually are under the Jiddu Krishnamurti videos. Those they really take the cake, those egos that are commenting underneath there. And they want nothing to do with me. If I ask someone, would you like to engage in a conversation with me? I had two people, but they did something else under the table. So, and it's always this, if their arguments fail, they either become angry and put me down, or they sexualize me. That way they get an upper hand, literally, sort of, or the underhand. Underhandedly, upper-handedly. So sexualizing, objectifying the woman so that she's just a sex object. She doesn't know what she's talking about. So, or, when that happens very rarely, but, I see it all over the place. Not just with me, I see it with a lot of women. I see it in a lot of comment exchanges between people. That is a favorite thing for the male ego to do, and it is unfortunate, So my question is, why is this so incredibly difficult for male egos in particular, but for all egos, to to ordinate yourself? I'm not saying subordinate, okay? To ordinate yourself into the range, into the group, okay? And I'm not saying this is a hierarchy or anything, But for example, just to give some examples, if I am not an athlete, if I see an athlete, like for example, I saw a real great, there was a black man with his black girlfriend, and he was doing some amazing exercises out there in Santa Monica. They have in the beach, in the Santa Monica coastal area, beach area, they have like a sort of like an exercise park. And we went there with the dogs, and there was this guy, and he was doing unbelievably amazing acrobatics. And he was obviously a professional. And I stood there with my jaw open, and I was absolutely admiring him. And the girlfriend was very proud of him and all, and he was very proud of the way he was doing his acrobatics. And I would never say something like, oh, I know how to do this better, or I should just go, I just show off, or I should just, since I can't show off because I don't know how to do these acrobatics, I would fall flat on my face or would fall on my German butt. And they would all laugh. So I would, if I had the mindset of these men talking to intellectual women, then, I might just well say something like, "Oh, I know how to do this much better, but I don't have time to show it off right now, but I'm much." See, this is how most people are. They don't know how to ordinate themselves into the group. If there's someone better than you, then say, yes, he is better. He is better at this, or she is better at this. So why, save your face or this is what I hear people say, something like this. Yes. It's always about this honor, this save your face and show off and pride and all of that stuff. And it is all based on the ego, all of that behavior. No, none of this is the real person, actually. None of this is the real you. And I find that very sad, So, and if a scientist, for example, comes up with the statistics and says that, the Northern Asians are smarter than the Southern Asian people, and there are people that will stand up and say that is wrong, even though those are statistics, those are statistical evaluations that are absolutely accurate evaluations that were made in total scientific accuracy, like just the observation, the accurate observation and taking notes of that and putting it into a statistical graph. Okay, there is nothing false about it, there's nothing wrong about it, but what if and I'm sure there are some people that will take offense and feel exposed, or feel, they feel shamed by this, but it's really their ego that shames them. It's no one else shaming them. There aren't Northern Asians laughing about the Southern Asians. They don't have time for that. Why should they be laughing? And even if they did, who cares? But it's, what if these Southern Asians, or some of them, will say, this is outrageous, we can't allow this, he needs to be kicked out of his university, he shouldn't be allowed to be a scientist anymore, he needs to be barred for life from that university because he's done some statistics. And I hear this happening. This is on the news. I hear this type of uproar, this type of rebellion happening to the point where, because business depends so much on their constituents, that they will actually act on those very irrational rebellions and demands from people to kick someone out of any kind of profession just because they stated some facts that were hitting the people's egos in the wrong way, you know. So again, this is falseness, this is untruth, this is acting out on ego. Sometimes it happens on mass scales, and it's that kind of thing that just brings out more suffering in the world. It just brings out, it doesn't, acting this out and then getting that person fired is not even helping the people who wanted to get him fired. Anyone who says a fact should not be fired for however that fact hurts. He or she shouldn't be fired for stating a fact, okay? If someone says the Germans, I happen to be German, but I don't identify myself as this. What if I stood up suddenly and said, oh, this is going against my ego, what they say about the Holocaust. Now I should figure out and come up with some and say, hey, no, it was 5 people less that did that, or 5 people more that were, come just tweak, or even if it is 5 more, why should I even be dwelling on something like this, right? Why? That would be so ridiculous if I did this. Some people are actually. This is equally ridiculous. This is all equally ridiculous. If someone comes up with a number and it has been verified, and then someone else says, no, this number here, that is outrageous, it goes against my ego, which people would never admit, but that's in parentheses, that's what they're thinking, that's what the ego is thinking, that goes against my pride. And then they have to rebel against it, and they have to take revenge even, and they have to do a counter documentary film out of revenge to slander that other group that had cut a little bit better statistically. And it's just, it's just a terrible ego battle that is going on all the time, all the time, all the time. And that is what I'm trying to bring across. I get a lot of thumbs down, and I know by who. It's always people whose egos take terrible offense to the things that I actually speak out, the things that you all know, but very few people have the audacity to say, actually have the audacity to actually say the truth. I wish more people had that. So it just bothers me very much. It bothers me when I see all these lies because of people's egos, because people can't handle facts, they can't handle the truth. They have to alter the truth. They have to sort of, they have to disguise things, and in the end product will be so incredibly ridiculous, just like the emperor has no clothes on. It'll be so ridiculous, and it will be even more embarrassing for their egos down the line, if they kick someone out for saying the truth. And it just causes a huge friction, all of this. It does not help in the peace process that we all want to achieve together. No one is better than the other. Okay, we're all equally precious, all beings, all animals. Okay, and there are some people that are better at something than others, and this is just a fact. Okay, there's some people better in acrobatics. There are some people that are going in a circus stand there that are walking on a rope. Okay, I could never do something then. I don't have very good balance. Okay, some people are just better at it by nature. Okay, some people have blonde hair, some people have dark hair, some people have black hair. This is it just is. There isn't a judgment. If you make a judgment, put a judgment into it, then it is your doing that you are doing. If you hate yourselves, you are doing it and no one else. If you hate yourselves the way you are and you see someone who looks the way you want to look is being praised, then your ego takes offense and you have to take revenge. Then you are in a cycle of destruction and in a war cycle instead of the peace cycle. Okay. We want to get into the peace cycle. Do it, people, do it. Think about this, become aware of this. I have gone through a lot of suffering. I've gone through a lot of jealousy in my life, okay? For example, just so you know, in Germany, the white men are really deeply into black women, and the white women are deeply into black men. I have seen it with my own eyes. I had a black girlfriend and I stood in her shadow and it was very painful for me. I felt like a meek mouse. I felt like the feeling was like I have been erased from this planet. That's what it feels like. And I can imagine that other people of different races and different looks, different appearances will have the same feelings in a different context, in a different, maybe reversed, maybe Asian, maybe this or that. Okay, so there's always this, and I went to a cosmetic class once in Santa Monica, and there was this Middle Eastern woman sitting next to me, and she had this wonderful big pouty mouth with big lips that I've always envied so much about my black girlfriend. And I have a kind of like a German small mouth, not very attractive. And I was looking at her and we put on our makeup, Shiseido makeup. I don't support it anymore because I boycott all Japanese products now because they're holding dolphins in Taiji. So I don't support any of these products. I would never buy any Japanese product anymore. I've written letters to Shinzo Abe in this regard. But anyway, that's a different subject. I always stray off, but it ties in. It's very important. It's more important than what I'm talking about right now. But so just for the time being, I'm talking about this issue with the looks, and that's important too because this causes a tremendous problem in the world. It causes blindness to other living beings also. So in that way, it all ties together. But I was putting makeup on and I said to this lady next to me, "You look so beautiful. You have such a beautiful face. I envy your beautiful full mouth." And she looked at me, was almost angry a little bit. There was like a mix of anger, and she couldn't really be angry because I complimented her. But a mix of anger and hurt and sort of, she almost wanted to say something mean, but then she saw that I really meant it. I really said that from the bottom of my heart. And then she looked down and kind of realized, and she said, "Well, I guess it's, we always want what we don't have. We always want what the other person has." and we make that sort of into an ideal or into something, into a desire, into a goal, into this, craving, krage, as in the word krage, which is very much related to the word craving, wanting, getting, desiring, not having, it's a state of mental impoverishment. And out of this state of, I feel, I don't have this, and I don't feel whole. And that's really the bottom line of it. Almost all humans don't feel whole. They don't feel like they have what they want, whatever it is. There's always something they need more, because they think, if I have this, then only. If I can make my face into someone else's face, or if I can get this car, or if I can get those clothes and accessories that other people have, that I've seen other people that are famous have. And then it's always this, what the famous people have, that's what the other people want, because they feel like this is so real, this is more real than their hand or whatever, or their clothes or whatever. They think this is so incredibly real, and they think that they feel so unempowered, they feel so helpless, and they feel ugly, and they feel unliked, and it's this poverty mental state, and out of that state they will always project something into other people. They will always project some kind of something that isn't even there in other people, some kind of power or something that the people that are, for example, just because someone had been in the media a lot doesn't make them more powerful than you, or sort of have an advantage over something. No, they just happen to be seen by more people. We see this now on YouTube, for example. An average person can now have a tremendous amount of views, suddenly, which they didn't have in the past. So in the past, it was really all in the hands of the Hollywood producers. Now you can gain a lot of attention on your own. And what I see gains a lot of attention are people who are, who either have something to offer, like how to do this or that. And so people that watch their channel will gain something, will gain some knowledge, or they can relate to this, or they had a problem and someone offers the solution, and so that's how they get a lot of views. Or they have sex to offer, or they have eye candy to offer. I have none of this. And or they have, I don't know, they offer something that pleases the senses, that gives people something, calmness of mind, a tingling effect in the brain, and so on. And that's all wonderful, and I really grant these people these views and that attention and all of it. So it's just that I'm just observing. So these people, they get a lot of views and also because people can identify with them. And I really have actually none of these kind of components in my videos. But I think that makes it even more important for me to make the videos, because I have the feeling there are some people out there that could relate with what I say, and that will probably feel just as lonely as I feel, and just as ignored, and it's this. I was watching David Lynch, auditions that people came to, and it's very interesting, but it's all in. And what I see in these actors is, I see an inner empowerment. I see those are regular people, but they are empowered, and out of this empowerment comes a natural sense of self and self-respect and a sense of flow. You start flowing through your life. It's no longer a poverty mental state of, I want what they have, or, they start to feel pretty content with what they have. And also with that wonderful guy, Bob Hickman, who's becoming more and more famous. He's written books, he has a YouTube channel, and he has a lot to offer to people. And I was thinking about this earlier, thinking that it's also really interesting again that a sorcerer a wonderful sorcerer, a sorcerer in general, a sorcerer will gain the attention, a Wiccan, um, someone who has, I have the secret to power for you. Again, it speaks to the ego. It usually, that's what's happening on YouTube or in the world in general. The people who have something for the, I have a cookie for you, ego, here's a cookie for you, come, and the ego will come and bite that bait. And it's always this, oh, a sorcerer, he has power. He can tell me something about his power, or a guru for that matter, This is a huge craze, It was a huge craze during the flower power time, during the 60s and 70s, people flocking, pilgriming to India, to the gurus, to the Hare Krishna gurus, and they came here also to capitalize. And it's a huge business. It's so funny. It cracks me up. So, but yeah, and we need to become aware of this, and instead of taking offense, and saying, no, I am not affected by this. Of course you are all affected by this in some way or another. Maybe you've become aware on this one end, but you're not aware at the other end, or you're aware of this point but not the other, and you think you have now made it through, you can't be tricked anymore, but wait, look again, and there you are tricked right over here, you haven't seen it. So the ego is very inventive in the way it tricks its way through. It's always about this, what can I gain, how can I, and I'm not excluded. I'm not saying this here because I'm sort of standing above all of this. Absolutely not. I always have to drag myself out of bed, and when I have an idea that I can, some great idea that I need to talk about that I think will probably help someone, then I'm more motivated to get out of bed to make that video. But because it feels good, so it's an incentive, okay? It's also sort of selfish because it feels good, and therefore it's an incentive. But if something feels good, that is an altruistic rather, or a giving act, then it is, of course, it is better. The more we can do in terms of giving, the better it is. But I have tons of selfish things too, like if for example, I don't want to go hiking, but then I have to kind of like make myself want to, by thinking about the candy that I can buy in the store as a reward for the hike. So I have to kind of like reward myself. That's how I trick myself at all forward, because sometimes I get very depressed and very sluggish, and I feel like I can't even get out of bed, or I can't even I don't even want to go out into public. There are germs and cigarette particles, and there are people that I don't know what they do in their as their recreation, you know. So, and I don't want anything to do with any of these particles because I'm a clean freak. I have OCD with cleanliness, really, really bad. Everything has to be absolutely super clean. Clean in terms of it has to be uncontaminated. And so it's quite an ordeal for me to go out. When I come home, I have to do an extreme decontamination procedure. And so you see, I'm not like I'm not above anything. So but I'm making these videos just maybe someone can relate. And I think there's a lot of people out there who have OCD and suffer from stuff like this. But I'm just trying to, you know, I put this out there. These are all truths. This is truth. These are facts. Okay. This is where I'm trying to discuss this. I'm trying to get some overview over all of this myself. For myself, I rewatch my videos, which is helpful for me. Okay, so then I know, these were my thoughts then, and these are my thoughts now, and this is how I evolved, and this is why I evolved, and this is what happened, and maybe now I see where it's going to, the trend, the internal trend going in a specific direction, you know. So, and this is what's good for me, and this is where this is a track I'm gonna stay on. So it's sort of like, you know, self-therapy, you know, what I'm doing. But I also want other people to relate, and I want other people to listen and make their lives better, you know, pamper themselves, you know, be good to themselves. It's not wrong to be selfish. It's not wrong to give yourself something, you know. So this is all wonderful. Selfishness is good as long as it's not on cost of any other living being, okay? So this here is fake sheep clothes. A fake sheep, okay? And I recommend that to everyone. I have a lot of those things. All these fake materials, you know, synthetic materials. This is 100% cotton Hanes t-shirt. I put my artwork on it. It's another one of those blue god in dog form. I made many of those. They make me feel good, and they have an energy that they radiate out that is very protective. And my artwork in general has a very protective and healing energy in it. So if you come to my Facebook page, I have a lot of my paintings on Facebook. I have like an exhibit there among all of my photos. Nicola Rhododendron. So I will put a link under my video for that. And I know Facebook is not the ideal website. It's not super consumer friendly, but you know, I just don't have the money to create a better social media website, or I would do it. You know, I really would. I want Jeff Bezos to make a better social media website with me together. Jeff Bezos, please see this video. Please work with me, and please, I have so many good ideas, so much wholesomeness to put into it. And you are a techie person, and you know how to make this work. You know how to make something like this, okay? With a paint program at the center where some people are shy. They don't even know how to speak or what to say. Some people speak a different language and they still want to connect. I see this all the time. You know, I feel sorry for these people. On one hand, you know, I'm often getting annoyed because, you know, they try to communicate through their sexism and stuff like this. But then again, I step back from the big picture, I look at it, and I see how lonely these people are. And sex is the only thing they know. They haven't even learned anything else. they know they can't come up with their Quran studies or what. They already know that will chase the women from the West away. So that the only thing they know is to send whatever, you know. I mean, the good ones send me chocolate photos. No, some others send me flowers. That's a little bit more, come here, baby. And then the rest, you know what, I don't even need to get into it. That's all they know. And so that's how they communicate. And the only words they have learned are like send or uh, send nudes or something like this. Or that's the only thing they know. They don't know how old or where from. Yeah. So, and it's very, very annoying, particularly for women who like to have an intelligent conversation and they encounter only people who are very rudimentary in their approach to life, you know. But if we look at the big picture, we see why that is. You know, they've never had an education. Before Islam, these people they were educated, they had good professions, they had many, many different gods, kind of like the Greeks, you know, so kind of more like the Hindus, you know, in that way. And then it was reformed into something very regimented and very hostile and very militant. And education was removed. And now these people, now what do they have? They have nothing. They can't even connect with the people they want to connect with. And so with a paint program at the center, at a social media website, this problem could be solved. You know, we can, for anyone who does, you know, people don't speak the same languages, or they are too shy, or they feel insecure about themselves, or they don't feel intellectual enough, at least they can paint something. And even if they're afraid to paint something, you know, how that is on the internet, people don't have to show their face if they don't want to. If that's too much for them, then they show something else and they come incognito and they paint something in this paint program, and they just practice and they get better at it, and they get better and better at expressing themselves through a computer painting. You know, I do these all the time. They are so much fun to make in my kids tablet here, and with your finger it's so much fun, you know. And there's so many ways of expressing yourselves through just drawing something with colors. It's so amazing. Colors and shapes, that's a whole world by itself, and you can express so many emotions with this, much more than with words. And so, you know, we have these smiley icons. There's just a range of 5 or so icons. It doesn't have all these different emotions that we want to express. You know? So if we can express that through a simple drawing or something, then that would be so much better for the communication among people. And also it would bring out honesty among people, because in the realm of art, in the realm of true love, there is there isn't any lie, there isn't any ego, you know. There's simply love, honesty, straightforwardness, expressing your sorrow the way it is, or your joy, or your love, or your affection, or sexual feelings. They're okay. It's all has its place, you know. And when it's expressed in its right niche, then it's not offensive. Then we understand the other, you know. Then we know it wasn't because they are looking down on us, or they are seeing us women as this or that only, or they're not appreciating our brain enough, or whatever. So all of these feelings come in all the time, and myself and other women and so on, you know. So I understand where all of these people are coming from. I also see the men. I also see their needs, you know. They have a lot more sexual needs than women. They are bombarded with that. That's terrible. That becomes a form of suffering also, you know. So if we can create a better website, to a better communication website, and where there are no bullies allowed at all. You know, YouTube has now kicked the bullies out. They have an AI that kicks all the bully comments out immediately. Now that's what we need. We need all of these. We need to borrow all of these applications and programs and AIs and put this all together into one amazing thing. And with that we can open up the, it's like a portal to the realm of true love, of truth, as Jiddu Krishnamurti talks about, you know, when they're saying, can truth operate in the field of reality? And my question, my and their answer and my answer, of course, is yes. Truth and love and art can operate on and in the field of reality that we live in, a 3D reality, in a 3D dimension. It can operate in it. We just have to find a way to do it. And there are ways to do it. Like this social media website that I have been envisioning for years, but I can't put that into practice because I don't have the financial means, or, you know, the techie knowledge to do it. But if I can find someone to help me with this, we can make it happen. And not with profit in mind, but with making the world a better place in mind. And then love can work in the field of reality. Okay, you guys take care. Bye bye.